My name's Chelsea Carr, and this is Ed Steed. Ed has a book coming out soon. Is it October 8th?
Yes.
Okay. But it's on sale here today.
That's
Is that
right.
also correct?
Yes.
If you're not familiar with Ed's work, he is a cartoonist for The New Yorker, among other things. So I'm just going to flip through and share some of his pieces that he's had in The New Yorker. It's a really good one. Feels like me driving to get here. I think that was... All right, so one of the things I wanted to ask you about is why did you decide to submit cartoons to The New Yorker? And when did you start submitting?
2012, I think the end of 2012. I didn't particularly want to become a cartoonist. I quite liked the idea of becoming an artist, and The New Yorker just seemed like a way you could become an artist without going to school or knowing the right people or anything. You could just put some stuff in an envelope, send it to... Sure, yeah. The New Yorker was just a way you could become an artist without any of the other advantages. You could just put some cartoons in an envelope, send it off to the magazine. You didn't need any expensive equipment or to know the right people or anything. You just, if it was good enough, they would buy it.
Mm-hmm. And you sent it to Bob, right? When he was...
This was, yeah, Bob Mankoff was the editor at the time.
Okay. So how many did you send in for your first batch?
I sent about 60 in, I think, just to start with.
And
yeah.
is
that...
that...
I didn't know if they were even looking for cartoonists or anything. They didn't advertise. I just thought they might want to.
Figured just send it in and see what happens?
Yeah, so I sent in about 60 and they bought, I think, 3 from their first batch.
That's awesome.
And so I quit my job then and became a full-time cartoonist ever since.
That's great.
Yeah.
So this is the one you sent. Is this the first one that they...
That's the first one they bought, yeah.
Is it the first one they ran also?
I think so.
Okay.
Yeah. But yeah, it doesn't really look like the kind of stuff I do normally. The joke is different and the drawing's quite different, but...
Yeah, the drawing's a lot different from what you're doing now.
I wasn't really drawing before I became a New Yorker cartoonist, so I didn't really have a style or anything. And I didn't really think about it as a kind of cartooning job. I thought about it as a joke writing job, because the job is to come up with 10 ideas a week, every week, for the rest of your life.
When you send stuff in, do you send in sketches, or are you more closer to this?
I was sending in really, really rough stuff, like stick figures, basically.
Yeah.
Because I thought they wouldn't care how well it was drawn. I thought they just cared about the ideas, yeah, and to prove that you could come up with enough ideas.
Yeah.
Which, I don't know if that was true or not. I think apparently there was some resistance at the time from other people at the magazine in buying the stuff because it was so badly drawn. But
really?
But they did buy it, so.
I'm so surprised. I think it's great.
But then, yeah, when I drew up the finished drawing, it's a bit neater. But it's been a learning curve for me to.
How would you did you intentionally evolve your style, or did it just kind of change as you kept drawing?
I was just doing my best I could, really. Yeah.
Trying to improve it a little each time.
Yeah, just trying to give the drawing some kind of life and some energy and whatever. Yeah, I'm very limited ability as a draftsman, but I've got better over the years, and now and again I do one I think looks all right.
Yeah. I was going to ask about your process for coming up with ideas, and you sent this in. Do you want to tell a little bit about what this is?
Yeah, well, this is the end papers from my book, which I included. These are all just scans from my sketchbook. So my process every day is just take a piece of paper or a sketchbook and a pen and just start drawing. I never have any kind of idea in mind or any kind of character or anything. Just start drawing and see what happens, and probably do that for a couple of hours every day. And sometimes you get a couple ideas, sometimes you get nothing, and
So how many are you sending in? 10 a week, or how many do you send in each week?
Yeah, 10 a week.
10 a week.
Yeah.
And you usually do pretty well with just just drawing, and just, do you like kind of come up with a story while you're drawing, or?
Yeah, I
like,
think you just draw stuff and then sort of respond to it,
mm-hmm.
and then draw something else, and then it's quite frustrating. Mostly it's nothing, just hours of nothing, and then some days you get 10 great ideas in an afternoon, and
right.
Yeah, it's very hit and miss, but usually by the end of the week there's 10.
So do you like edit down from what you have, and is it like a struggle to come up with the 10, or is it like, I have 15 good ones, let me narrow it down to 10?
And it's pretty consistently 10, because the better I get at it, the higher I raise my bar of quality, you know? So,
yeah, and you probably have a better idea of what they're gonna like and what they're not gonna run, maybe?
I don't know, I never really thought about what the New Yorker likes or what they want to buy.
Are you surprised when they, like, with what they buy?
Mostly they have pretty good taste, I think.
Yeah.
I sometimes wish they're a little more adventurous sometimes, but
yeah.
I just assume they're going to buy the worst one, so I just make sure the worst one's good enough. And I don't have much faith in them really, but I think, yeah.
So that kind of leads us into my next question, which is, what is your favorite rejected cartoon?
Yeah.
And why do you think they rejected this, Ed?
Well, I mean, the New Yorkers bought stuff from me with nudity and violence and sex in it before, but this one for some reason was beyond the pale. I don't know. Even though you don't actually see anything, so I don't know. But it's one of my favorites, and I think it's pretty clever and quite good. But
yeah, I like it too.
Yeah.
And you told me earlier that this is in your book.
It's in the book, yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah. But no, my idea of a good cartoon is something that's pretty clever, but looks sort of stupid.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And this kind of hits both of those.
Yeah, and I think the worst New Yorker cartoons are the opposite of that. They're kind of not very clever, but they dress up to look clever, you know? And
yeah, there's...
I try and do the opposite of that, just something that's, you know...
It's enjoyable, yeah.
Yeah, I think I'm very pleased with it, but also it's kind of silly, isn't it?
It is.
Yeah.
So I also asked you about some of your favorite pieces that they have published.
Yeah. It's just come from doodling and just a kind of idea like that I don't think you'd ever think of just off the top of your head, but by drawing and just looking at what you've drawn, and sometimes a character like that comes up and you think, looks a bit like a potato, and then why is he angry, and then and then you draw the rest of it, and then gradually the world emerges, and hopefully
and the caption
means, because I think just generally using your own brain to think of stuff, it's pretty banal, like you have the same sort of thoughts all the time, or if you're trying to be inspired by what's around you, like what's around you is the same stuff all the time, so
sometimes.
So that way of drawing I have is a way to kind of circumvent all those kind of logical, normal thoughts and come up with something that's as surprising for me as hopefully it is for other people as well.
Else.
Yeah.
And then here's another one that they ran.
Yeah, they ran this one.
And what was is there a story behind this one or anything, or is it just you're doodling guys in cages?
Yeah, I just think it's pretty clever and also kind of grotesque as well, which I like. I remember just drawing this face up here behind some bars and thinking that, that's something interesting, something going on there, and then you gradually build out from that point. I don't know. The best ones are the ones you don't know how you come up with that, and you don't know how you'd come up with another one like it. It's just feels like a bit of luck, Yeah, this is probably my all-time favorite.
Really?
I think. Yeah.
When did they run this one?
I'm not sure if they have actually.
Oh, they haven't run it yet?
No.
Are you allowed to show this?
Technically, no.
Don't look.
Yeah. It's just, this might be in the New Yorker in a few weeks' time, so try and act surprised when you see it.
Yeah.
But if you could make a single panel is very limited art form, very constrained. Tends to be quite technical as well. But if you can kind of expand it and add some kind of characters and some feelings, and like you can kind of see the sadness in their eyes and everything. There's a whole backstory that you can imagine from these things, whatever they are.
Yeah,
It's
none
kind
of them won.
of sort of heartbreaking, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But they were all so close.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we know they're not going to make it, but
Right.
they don't yet.
They feel like they have a shot.
Yeah.
Here's another one. And this one, did this one run in the,
Yeah, that was in
Okay.
a while ago.
yeah.
I don't know what to say. I like banjo, but some people don't.
But he doesn't. Yeah.
Yeah, this is one of my favorites too. It's like, I mean, a single panel is like it's a difficult way to tell a story. You got one image, one sentence, which makes it very difficult, but also gives you opportunity to do stuff to just drops people in the world without having to explain it without having to explain what happened next.
Mm-hmm.
So you can do something like a rockabilly astronaut without having to justify it, which is
In some ways, it's really like liberating that you don't have to come up with characters and their ongoing story, but then you're kind of restricted in a lot of ways too. It's a challenge.
but the stuff I'm trying to do is to find cartoons that kind of use the strengths of the single panel medium,
Yeah.
rather than like fighting against them, like trying to cram a joke into one panel when it doesn't want to be there. To use stuff like the fact that you don't have to explain how you got there.
Right, who they are, why they're there.
Yeah,
You can just enjoy it for what it is.
Yeah, like the kind of joke I want to do is the kind that can only really be done as a single panel cartoon.
Here's another one one of your favorites.
Yeah. I mean, it's also that can't really imagine it being done in anything other than a single panel cartoon.
Yeah.
Also, and there's a lot of stuff in the magazine these days which is very, very wordy, and the image is kind of irrelevant. It's just some people talking, and one of them says something funny to the other. And I think a lot of that is a symptom of cartoons being looked at on Instagram or phones. They just kind of glide by, and the image is fairly irrelevant. So I try and do stuff where the image is not just a visual joke, but also the detail and the quality of the drawing is important.
Yeah, this one you could really look at for a while.
Yeah, it forces you to stop, doesn't it? And try and imagine what kind of emergencies are going on.
Yeah. Aw.
Yeah, also, I mean, the conventional wisdom of single panel is that you're minimalist and you just tell a joke and then get out of there. But
Yeah.
I like to, there's a lot of unnecessarily precise details in there. You could have done it with just the football or something, but
Yeah, I
to
think.
have a foot pump as well and
Does he have
a
a little
pedal
Dance Dance
bend.
Revolution?
Yeah. It's like
Oh,
needlessly specific, but
yeah.
yeah.
I think that's what's great about your work is that it really forces you to slow down, and there's the joke that you could just I get it and go on, but if you want to spend more time with it, you really can and get to it on another level and get all these details in there that are really nice.
Yeah, I hope so.
News. Were you
Yeah.
in a situation with a lot of canoes?
Oh, no, definitely not. No.
Oh.
I don't know. I don't really remember this one, but yeah, just I want to do the kind of stuff that seems like only I would have done it.
Yeah.
It seems like something only I would have thought of for. Again, it can only really be a single panel cartoon. That thing, you wouldn't want to hear his whole backstory about how he became a canoe inspector or whatever.
Oddly enough,
maybe you would, but
I was in a situation with a lot of canoes the other day, and I kind of want to clip this out and give it to. It was a nature center, and they had a whole canoe storage room, and I'm like, this. Where else would you hang up this if not in the canoe storage area of the nature center?
Yeah, and the single panel is such a constrained form that is very repetitive. Like everyone's drawing the same ideas. So many ideas I have, I think, someone must have done that before. Even if I haven't seen it, I just assume they have. But
have you ever like drawn up one that you thought was pretty good, and then you're like, oh, somebody like later on you realize that somebody?
Yeah, that happens sometimes. Or they've done a similar kind of thing. So it just makes me want to come up with stuff which you come up with something like that, and you think there's no way anyone's ever doing that in the past or in the future. It's just
So do you ever like? I guess you don't try to go through like the cartoon tropes of like desert island and all that kind of thing. You try to avoid that intentionally?
I never start with anything in mind
Yeah.
at all. I just put some lines on a page and just see what happens.
Go from there.
Sometimes you get to a desert island, but not very often.
Yeah. Yeah, you do.
I like really specific stuff, you know, like a real particular scenario.
Right.
Like this.
Nothing very
A
broad.
room of canoes. You know? It's no one else is doing that. And I get, like it's a whole backstory there to that. You know, you can spend a minute thinking about what's going on with these fellas.
Yeah, I don't know if that's true legally, but I mean, it's worth a shot though.
Yeah, no, I like a cartoon that kind of expands as you think about it and try and imagine what's going on.
And I love that there's two of them in this together.
Yeah,
like,
I think they're brothers maybe, but
yeah,
not necessarily.
Sure, that could
yeah,
they're figuring this out together.
Yeah, it's kind of a kind of joke. It's quite sort of fragile in a way. Like it really depends on the way they're drawn and like the expression on. If you drew the different expression on the face, it would be a totally different sort of joke. You know?
Yeah, they don't look sad about the divorce.
They're delighted that they've come up with this idea.
Yeah, they're like, this is great. We've outsmarted the system.
Yeah.
So I wanted to ask you. You've done how many covers have you done for the New Yorker? Do you know?
7 or 8 maybe.
7 or 8.
Yeah.
Okay.
A few.
And so I have a couple of slides of your New Yorker covers. Is there anything in particular about this one? I think you would know. Is this like the first one that you had done for them?
No, not the first, but I don't think the first one's on your slideshow. But I've been drawing cartoons for the New Yorker for about 5 or 6 years, and like I say at the start, I wasn't much of a drawer, but after a while, doing it every day, you kind of get a bit better, and thought I'd have a go at doing a cover.
So did you reach out to Francoise, or did she reach out to you and was like, how about trying this? Or how did that come about?
I sent her stuff for about 3 years and she never responded at all. And then eventually, I can't remember how, eventually she got back in touch. I think I just sent in an idea that was so dense, so much drawing on it, so many patterns, I thought she couldn't ignore it. You know, something really like beautiful and strange.
Yeah.
So she'd have to at least respond.
So how is that process? Like, were you already doing cartoons for the New Yorker when you started doing that?
Oh yeah, I've been doing it for years.
Okay. And it's not like, does she talk to Emma at all? Or was it just like...
A totally separate
Totally separate thing.
Separate part of the office, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So just because you're in the New Yorker as a cartoonist doesn't necessarily give you a leg up to do the covers.
Not at all.
Yeah, because I've noticed some people do covers, but not everybody. And I don't know that I could necessarily see everybody's style working. But this is it's in color, and it's did you work differently for this? How did you color it?
It's watercolor, ink drawing, the same pen as I use for the cartoons, and then watercolor on top of that. But it's it's very difficult for me, this stuff. Like it takes forever, and it's not much fun, really. Hope it looks nice, but
Yeah.
it's like a month of work, probably.
Oh, I'm sure. How big do you work? Is it the same size, or do you make it bigger and they
That's
shrink
probably
it down?
about double size.
Double that size.
of the magazine, yeah.
And what was do you come up with your covers the same way you come up with your cartoons, where you're just doodling stuff, or?
Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't really do anything topical or political or anything. Same with the cartoons. I'm not really interested in relatability or satire or anything like that.
Yeah.
Just draw stuff I think looks cool. But yeah.
Here's another one. Is this the same way with the ink and the watercolor?
Yeah.
And this kind of looks like a New York. You live in New York, is that right?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Was this New York inspired, or like?
Usually I just want an excuse to draw a certain type of thing.
Yeah.
Like I want to draw flowers, so I come up with a cover that has a lot of flowers on. I wanted to draw some like wild creatures, so
You just needed a place
come
to
up
put
with
them.
this one. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's that's tough for me. The cartoons are much easier. This is like even looking at it, it's quite painful to remember how tough it was to
Yeah.
draw. Because I, like I said, I don't have any background in drawing or anything. I learned to draw to become a New Yorker cartoonist.
And your background is in architecture, right?
I studied architecture for a little while.
Okay.
Yeah.
And
But I
there's.
never became an architect.
Do you think you use any of those skills in like?
No.
You know, it doesn't relate.
Yeah, I don't think I ever drew anything by hand as an architect.
Oh, did you?
Yeah,
You did it
no.
all in CAD, I guess. Okay.
Yeah. But you know, every drawing I've ever done has been in the New Yorker. You know, I haven't done much before that, so I'm kind of learning in public in a way, which is quite quite daunting. You know, that the public gets to see everything you've ever drawn.
done and published.
Yeah.
Have you? I mean, there's not really. Have you sold your stuff to other outlets, or there really aren't many other
No,
outlets
I've never
to sell?
tried actually.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like the regular schedule of the New Yorker.
Yeah.
It's a reliable thing every week.
Mm-hmm. And I, like I said, I don't know. Like there are many that are running cartoons.
Mm.
Oh, here's some of those.
Yeah.
This seems really different from your other stuff.
It's more like a comic strip. Yeah.
Are you a baseball fan?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Mm. Yeah, this is before they brought the pitch clock in, so people could take their time about stuff. But,
Yeah.
yeah.
What do you think about the pitch clock?
I didn't know you were going to ask me that.
I'm sorry.
Yeah. I'm generally against it, I suppose.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
My
I'm not
10-year-old
in any
is-
hurry, so.
My 10-year-old's in a hurry, but he loves baseball. So
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah.
So do you go to the games a lot? Is this influenced by like watching them live or watching them on TV?
I'm more of a TV watcher. I prefer watching on TV. Yeah, I like just drawing with the baseball on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the Yankees are your team?
Mets.
Mets. Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
Okay. I guess that's accepted. I'm an Orioles fan, so
Okay.
don't say Yankees.
Oh yeah, this is the first one I've ever done.
Is this
And
like? Oh, go
Because
ahead.
wasn't even responding to my emails, so I thought I'm just going to draw something really kind of dense and wild, and she won't be able to ignore it.
So she came back and she was like, "Let's do this," or
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
Did you send it to her as a sketch, or do you like work on it until it looks pretty much complete when you first started it?
Here's the thing: I was pretty much worked up
Mhm.
for this one. Yeah.
So how many did she reject before? Like, and you were doing like completed pieces and sending it to her?
Yeah, for 2 or 3 years, she didn't respond at all.
Like how
But-
frequently to every like?
Not that often.
Okay,
They probably
that's-
weren't that good anyway.
That's
either,
a lot of
but-
work though. Like yeah. This is, and these are little like sea anemones.
Yeah, coral reef or something.
I like how they all have personalities.
Yeah. I think it's the most recent one. I was trying to find a way of doing a cover that didn't take forever. So I did this one in a day.
Yeah.
There's some blobs of paint on another blob of paint.
Is this watercolor also?
That's acrylic.
Okay. And did you do it on paper or?
Yeah.
Yeah. What was the like? Was it just you felt like drawing ladybugs, or when was this?
Yeah.
This is June, so it's. When did you submit it, and when did that? Like, how did they decide? Did they try to do it seasonal? Do you think? Like, it
I
seems
think they
like
did. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know when I submitted it, but yeah, like I said, I was just trying to do something that wouldn't take too long to draw. And a ladybird is something.
Mhm.
It's just a red blob with some black blobs on it.
Yeah, but it's still. I mean, it's visually really interesting. So
I hope so.
I don't think
Thank
it
you.
always has to take a lot of time for it to be good.
That was a lino cut print that I did for a cover once. Just some kind of imaginary folk creatures or something.
This is my
Yeah.
favorite one you've done. I
Oh,
really like
thank
this
you.
one a lot. Did you do it on like a colored paper, or because it looks like the creatures are lighter in color than the background? How did?
Yeah, there's two layers of print. So there's the
Oh,
black one, and then
so it's like
the
a
yellow
reduction
is
print?
another. No, it's just two
Oh.
plates.
How? Why did you decide to do it like that instead of what you usually do?
I don't know. You just get a bit bored of drawing, don't you? Sometimes And try something else.
Try
And
something different.
You go in an art shop and you see all that different stuff,
Yeah.
and then you just buy a pen every time. So sometimes you want to break out and try something a bit different.
Is the like the texture in the background? Is that pattern? Is that lino cut too?
This?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. That probably took on like the border.
Yeah, it's all lino cut.
So did you like? I don't know. That's really impressive. That's my favorite one.
Thank you.
Did you have to like when I've done lino cut before? You have to make like a million prints to get it good. Is that what you had to do, and then pick the best one and sent it in, or
Yeah, I did
did
a
you
bunch.
show her all of them?
I did a bunch all different colors, and this is the one they chose.
Was it the one you would like? What you did different colors, as in
It's
like?
the most conservative one, I think. I did
Okay.
it in all in like bright colors as well.
Yeah.
This was the
Oh,
The
I would
one
have liked to have
Francois
seen the
well.
bright color ones.
yeah.
This is another. Is this another case of like you wanted to draw flowers?
Yeah, so certain things just come up when I'm drawing. For a while, I was going through a phase of doodling flowers all the time and like vines and things.
Mm-hmm.
And then you do a big drawing like that, and you never want to draw them again. So
Yeah,
kind
you
of
get it
gets
out of your
gets out of your system.
Yeah. You're like, all right, never again.
Yeah.
And you placed it on the brownstone, I guess. Do they encourage you to make a New York scene, or is that something you do because you know they're more likely to be interested in it, or just because
Just where I was living at the time.
Oh, okay.
I
so
was living in Brooklyn.
so that's your house?
Yeah.
I think one of my cartoons is in this issue.
Hmm.
So, yeah.
Shame we can't open it. Yeah, just enjoy coming up with creatures, inventing new creatures. So this was just a way of combining a whole bunch of them onto one cover.
So like, did they? It kind of seems like they all evolved out of that little
Yeah,
guy down
exactly,
there.
Yeah. Yeah. Like alternative history of world evolution, how things could have been.
Yeah. Could have been so much better.
Yeah.
So you won a Grammy, which is pretty unusual, I think, for a cartoonist. I didn't.
Yeah.
And you're not a musician, or
No,
are you?
I have no talent at all.
Okay.
in music. Yeah.
So tell us about that.
Well, I don't really go looking for any other work than the New Yorker stuff. It's just all I want to do. But occasionally someone reaches out with a job, or they see my work in the New Yorker and ask if I want to do something. And this Father John Misty, this pop star, he saw my cartoons in the New Yorker and asked if I wanted to do something. So I said yeah, and this was, and I was kind of naive about how difficult it would be because I've only ever drawn single panel cartoons before, and then I suddenly started on this massive thing. But it's quite painful to do, but it turned out all right.
So is this what
This is-
part of the packaging is this?
This is the front cover,
Mhm.
and then the next panel is the back cover. He sent me the music he was working on, and I just listened to it and just drew whatever I was thinking at the time.
Did he like what you were doing, or did he have any notes?
He just let me do whatever I wanted, really. Yeah.
Did you have to design the actual was it on like vinyl or a disc, or did you have to do different versions for that part, or I guess was the drawing just for the cover?
Just for the front and back covers, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Were you surprised when you won a Grammy, or did they tell you? Or?
Yeah, no, I didn't know there was one for that kind of thing. But,
Yeah.
yeah.
So what, did somebody just call you up and they're like, guess what? And
Yeah.
wow. That's really shocking. Like, did they tell you you were nominated, or?
Yeah, I knew I was nominated.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then were you who were the other, do you know who else was nominated in that category? Were they other cartoonists, or?
No, it's just a bunch of different stuff. It's a weird category because I don't know how they pick it, really, because
It could
it's really,
be anything.
really hard to
It's-
compare stuff. Yeah.
It's just like an art
I think
contest.
it's just a reward for, it obviously looks like it took a long time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did the guy's music win anything?
No,
Oh.
I don't think so.
Sorry about
But
that.
he now calls himself a Grammy-winning artist.
He
I
can,
think.
sure.
Yeah.
All right. So you have a book coming out. Here's I think I saw online. Is there a blue version too?
It's a blue version.
There's a blue and a green version.
Both are available upstairs.
Okay.
Hmm.
They're available upstairs. Can you talk about what's in it? Is it some stuff that you've had published in the New Yorker and some stuff you haven't? Did you select what's going in there? How does that?
Yes, it's like the greatest hits of the last 12 years of New Yorker stuff. Plus, there's a few new things in there too.
Okay.
Yeah, it's mostly just the New Yorker stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And did you pick out the cartoons, or did they?
Yeah,
That's
just my favorites.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah.
Is there any? I flipped through it. At SPX, they had a copy there. And is there any like commentary from you, or it's just like
Just all
Here.
action.
no, all action, no commentary.
Nonsense.
Don't
Yeah,
get bogged
straight
down
to
in
the
that.
good stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's you're doing, and you did a signing today. Are you doing a signing after this
Now,
as well?
I think, yeah.
Right now.
If you want.
All right. Well, I think that's. Is there anything else you want to talk about? Anything else you want to mention?
Not really. No.
Oh.
Any questions?
Does anybody have any questions?
Wondering if you had any thoughts about doing a book of your favorite rejects.
Some of them are in this one. Yeah, but a lot of people complain that the New Yorker doesn't publish their stuff, their favorite stuff, like the violent stuff or the weird stuff. But I haven't found that. I think they publish most of my best stuff. I think. Yeah.
Have you ever? So sometimes with the New Yorker, somebody will publish the rejection collection, and they send out an email asking if we want to send anything in.
Oh yeah, I was in that. Yeah.
You were?
Yeah.
Okay, so you do send stuff in there that you.
Yeah,
that you
but
liked.
more just because the man running it was a friend, not because the stuff. I think the New Yorker buys stuff from me with nudity and violence and stuff all the time. I never really found a problem with that kind of stuff.
I guess they're just as likely to reject it as not, and
Yeah.
it's just all good.
Yeah, yeah.
Who runs it? Is it Matt?
Matt Diffie. Yeah.
Okay.
I always think with the New Yorker, if it's good, they'll probably buy it, even if it's not the kind of thing they really like. But
Yeah.
there's a shortage of good ideas in the world. So if you've got one, even if they don't like your drawings, they'll still
Oh yeah.
probably
take
buy
it.
it.
Yeah. Does anyone have any other questions? Sure.
I'm just curious, coming from architecture and not really intending to pursue this, do you find that you were inspired by any art that you saw growing up or styles that you
Mm.
draw from? Because I see things that I'm like, ooh, I like that because I can think of this person. Just to know you.
Who are you thinking of?
Well, the two that come to my mind were Clinton Blake, and then especially when this came up with the font, I was thinking of Edward Gorey.
Yeah, Edward Gorey I hadn't heard of until quite recently. He's great, but yeah, it definitely wasn't an influence. And I was interested in drawing cartoons when I was really young, but I stopped probably around middle school and didn't do it for a long time. And then I started up just to become a New Yorker cartoonist. So yeah, it wasn't anyone I was particularly trying to emulate, or if there's any influences, they're kind of subconscious. But I think the style of drawing is just the result of the ability I have and the equipment I have. You know, that it's just I'm doing my best. Yeah.
Does anybody have any other questions? Sure.
I asked you upstairs about penciling.
Mm.
What you did, so that you can talk
Yeah.
about that.
May I
What do
have
you
your
think?
attention, please? Thank you for coming to Crossroads Columbus. The expo floor is now closed. The library closes in 1 hour at 6 p.m. We will reopen tomorrow at 1 p.m. Again, the expo floor is now closed. Please make your final purchases and begin to head toward the exit. Thank you.
He's still doing a signing though.
Yeah. Yeah. No pencils.
You can talk about that, and then do you go through like a half a ream of paper sometimes until you're happy, or he says he doesn't pencil.
No pencils. Yeah. No.
Pencils.
Just dip pen, dip pen on paper, and try not to spend more than 5 or 10 minutes on a drawing. Really. Sometimes you need two or three attempts to get it, but beyond that, it starts kind of getting a bit unspontaneous. Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Are there any other questions? Yes.
Do you have a set routine where you sit down every day and try to generate ideas?
Yeah, try and go every day to a cafe or something where there's just a blank piece of paper and a pen, and just see what happens. And yeah, some days it's good, some days it's not, but usually evens out the good days and the bad days. Yeah.
Not just in a sketchbook,
Yeah, or whatever. Just
whatever thing.
yeah.
I know some people are very meticulous, like it's a certain kind of format or paper or rotation.
Yeah, no, I'm not precious about the materials at all, or even for the finished drawings, just whatever, you know.
It seems like a lot of your work has a lot to do with like core human issues or like kind of the foibles of humanity. But is there ever a time you feel kind of drawn to responding to things politically in the moment? Or how does that kind of balance for you?
Yeah, no, not really, not that interested. Yeah. Yeah, I think especially this stuff's going in the New Yorker magazine. You know, that kind of audience of people is not someone I'm that interested in confirming their feelings. Same with like I don't really do much like social satire stuff about people's lives or lives in New York or anything because I don't know, just doesn't really interest me that much. Plus with politics stuff, you never know how soon it's going to be published. So some of the stuff you draw it and then 3 years later it gets published. So
Yeah.
it's hard to be too topical. But
I just sold a Christmas cartoon, and I've heard that the holiday cartoons could run like years later because they've got December to run it, and then that's about it.
yeah.
So.
Yeah, I've had stuff like 5 or 6 years late.
Oh
So,
wow.
yeah.
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 But they keep getting you to subscribe, so you check, see if it's in there.
Are they sitting on a bank of your stuff? I mean, do they have a whole lot of stuff that hasn't been published?
There's probably about 30 or so of mine that they bought and not run yet. I don't know, it never used to be that many. It used to be maybe 5 or 6, but lately they seem to be buying a lot more than they're using for some reason. But I don't know what goes on behind the scenes.
So I think I read that you don't go down to like physically hand them in. You just email them in.
Yeah,
every week.
it's all very kind of anonymous. But
Yeah.
at first, I wasn't even living in New York to start with, so I'd draw my batch of cartoons and send them in an email, and then a few days later they might send you an email back with a picture of the cartoon they wanted, and that was it. Then you'd send the finish and they wouldn't even respond to that, you know, and then maybe a few years later you see the cartoon in the magazine. That's how you know they received it.
Yeah.
There's never any edits or notes or anything.
Yeah, I only get a hint that it's going to run because sometimes they'll email and be like, "Can we put a comma here?" And I'm like, "Oh, they're going to run it."
Yeah, so
But
the whole thing
other
felt
than that-
quite unreal because I didn't read the New Yorker. I didn't know anyone who read the New Yorker. I was just sending this stuff off into the ether, and then I get a check in the mail a few months later.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you moved to New York after you sold your cartoons. Do you think there's a benefit to living in New York and being a New Yorker cartoonist, or do you think you could just as easily do it from anywhere?
I was doing it from. I only moved to New York about 6 years ago.
Oh, okay.
The first sort of 6 years I wasn't in New York, so
So you just moved because you
I
wanted
think
to.
it was nice not to be too close to the magazine, you know, just to.
Mhm.
And it's not know about anyone reading it or anything, because I didn't know anyone who read the New Yorker, so it kind of frees you up. If you're thinking about 1 million subscribers going to be looking at this joke, it might make you a bit more cautious, you know. But
Right. Yeah.
it was good for me just to be totally detached from it all.
Yeah.
And like I say, even had hardly any contact with the magazine itself, just like a one-word email occasionally. So.
Yeah. Do you think there's like a big difference with like what Emma buys versus what Bob would buy?
Not particularly. I think well, my taste has changed over the years. Like the more you do it, I think as soon as you start drawing cartoons, your taste completely changes from what it was before, because you start to realize what's actually good and what's kind of cheap and lazy and easy, and what's actually quite difficult and interesting. And the more you do it, you burn through kind of cliches or ways of working. Like if you find a formula that works for making a cartoon, then you stop using it and go on to the next thing. So
Right. Yeah.
my personal taste has changed over the years, but I don't know about.
Yeah. Maybe
Yeah,
something that might
that's-
seem cliche to you is just kind of like you've just been doing that, working that way for a while, and just try to make it interesting for yourself.
Yeah.
Change it up a little.
Yeah.
Does anybody else have any questions? All right. So, do you know where you're doing your signing?
Here, I think somewhere
Here?
around here.
Okay.
I don't know. Yeah.
We don't know, but there will be a signing. You were up at the Fantagraphics booth earlier
Yeah,
today.
I think they're coming down here. I think
They're gonna
bringing
come down
some books, but yeah.
Okay.
Is that who your book is published with?
No, Drawn and Courtly.
Oh, I'm sorry.
It's okay.
Sorry.
I don't care.
I talked to them at SPX and I was talking about them being in Portland and they were like, you're confusing us with Fantagraphics.
Yeah, I'm sure they
So,
love that.
Yeah, I'm sure. If you do, I guess could people go upstairs and buy a book and then
I don't know.
down here
I
to
think
sign?
they're closing that table and bringing them down here.
They-
but I
yeah.
think that's the plan.
Okay.
Or they'll be up there tomorrow.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know.
10 minutes.
Any questions for us?
Do you prefer the blue one or the green one? There's two different versions
Yeah.
of the
Is
book.
it just a
Yeah, cover's different.
Was that your decision or did they,
No, that was this.
was
I
there
like
a
it,
reason or were they just, they couldn't decide which one they liked
just fun.
more? Okay. Do you think you'll do another book in the future?
I hope so. I've got lots of cartoons. I got probably enough for another book already.
Yeah.
So yeah, it'd be good.
Have they mentioned that or?
Not yet, but see
Okay.
how this one goes.
So did you pitch this book to them or did they come to you?
No, they wrote to me.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. They found you through the, I guess they contacted somebody at the New Yorker to,
I guess so.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Ed, are you mostly of the single panel mindset, or are you talking about doing a story, or?
Single panel is I think it's what I'm good at, and it kind of suits my way of working, my attention span, and my skill set. But yeah, maybe one day. Yeah, we'll see.
So you're saying that like the person for the record you worked on reached out to you. Has anybody reached out to you with a project that you weren't interested in, or?
People don't reach out that much.
Oh,
yeah.
I'm
If you're
surprised.
not on the internet, if you're not on social media or anything, they think you don't exist.
Yeah.
Really,
So I was trying to research you for this presentation, and you're very hard to research because you're not on social media. You don't have a website. Is there do you just do that because you're not interested and you don't have to, or?
Yeah, as long as I can avoid it.
Yeah,
I
no, you're
will.
living the dream.
Yeah, try to maintain some dignity.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. That's a wise decision.
Yeah, no, I don't know what. Do you put your stuff on Instagram?
I
And then you
do.
have to deal with what everyone thinks about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, or what nobody thinks about it because it's just out into the void and nobody reacts.
Yeah.
So
No, I never.
it depends. You're completely relying on the algorithm.
Yeah, I never wanted to know what people thought about it actually, and it's great that you like it. And I hope you buy the book, but I don't
Yeah.
care if you don't.
I care if you do. Please buy it for him.
And it's hard enough coming up with ideas anyway, but to also be worrying about an audience and what they might like,
Yeah.
that's an extra layer of difficulty. So
Right.
I always think if I do stuff that I like, then there'll be other people out there who like it too.
Mhm.
I'm not that weird.
Yeah.
So-
Other people enjoy the same strange things.
Yeah, but yeah, I don't particularly want to know which ones people like or which ones they don't like, because then that gets into your head and
Yeah. And then it kind of messes with the creative flow.
yeah.
Yes.
I find it's interesting just to hear what you're reading. You know, like
Ah.
what's on your nightstand.
What am I reading?
Kind of challenges you.
I'm reading Ethan Frome, Edith Wharton. Just bought it yesterday.
Do you have any specific influences in humor that you look to?
I mean, mostly TV stuff when I was a kid. I wasn't looking at that many cartoons when I was young. I read some children's comics when I was small, but then once you grew out of that at 7 or 8, there wasn't really anything beyond that. I didn't read any superhero comics, didn't even really know anything about that stuff, or definitely never heard of a graphic novel or a manga or anything like that, and didn't know about places like this.
Yeah.
So I think I thought of cartoons as really a children's thing. So I think that's why I didn't pursue it.
Right.
But was more interested in there are some books there. More interested in TV. There's a lot of good funny stuff on TV when I was a kid, and then
What kind of shows did you like?
a lot of British stuff you probably never heard of,
Probably
but
not.
yeah. But I don't know, there's a lot of really kind of weird, interesting stuff. A lot of it quite kind of dark and sinister. Which I think maybe that seeps into the
Yeah.
cartoons a little bit too.
kids like that stuff.
Yeah.
Just weird kind of dark stuff.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't really analyze it too much. It's my sense of humor. I
It is
don't know
what
where
it
it
is.
comes from,
Yeah.
but yeah, it's working out okay so far.
Yeah. All right. So we've got 5 minutes, and it looks like they have you set up back there with some books and a
Right.
marker and everything. So if you guys would like to get a book from Ed, he'll be signing here. I don't know if they're gonna kick you out at some point because I know they're actually closing the library
Okay.
at 6, but you should have plenty of time. It's 5:15.
Okay.
So all right. Thank you.
Thank you.